All right, everybody, we're in the office tonight and we are preparing ourselves for a little adventure. Maybe I shouldn't call it a little adventure. Maybe I should call it a pretty big adventure. The office is an absolute shambles. This behind me looks great, obviously. I don't know if you all have ever really seen my office, but this is my office. We enjoy the rustic look and rustic feel. Obviously, the desk is a little overwhelming, but this, folks, yes, there's some stuff over here that probably shouldn't be there, but that is what it is. And there's a bunch of stuff hanging over here, and a bunch of stuff here, and a box full of stuff here, and a whole bunch of GoPro stuff here, and a whole bunch of socks and underwear here. But you know what? You guys are going to get to see what it looks like when an individual is preparing for a 12-day hunt in another state. That other state being Idaho. NYA Millennial is headed to Idaho. We are going to Idaho, in which I just realized there's one item that's very important that isn't in this office. We're going to Idaho to hunt elk with a bow and arrow, self-guided, me and another friend of mine, and you guys, hopefully, as long as the batteries survive, because we're hiking in a decent ways, we are going to have all of our survival needs, food, no water, everything. All this stuff you see here, in which I'm going to go through with you guys here in just a minute, we will have all of that, every bit of it, to survive in the mountains for basically 12 days. And that backpack right there. I'll hold it up for you. Yes, I know, I'm casting a shadow. Sorry, guys. It's not a very big pack, but it's considered a 10 to 12 day pack. We'll start with that. It is a Tenzing 5000. I purchased this pack whenever I went out to Colorado for the first time several years ago. Been to Colorado a few times. We've acquired a few things over the years to help along the way. It's very hard to buy everything that is perfect the first time. So we're going to go through this gamut. I mean, it's a lot, everybody. This is a spare box. We won't talk about it much. There's a lot of stuff going to happen here. And every bit of this, including all of the contents of this box, have to fit in there. Right there. We're not going to do YouTube magic on this one, because I feel like there are some people out there that have thought, you know, I'd like to go out west and hunt. Me personally, I thought that several years ago, and I did it. Was I successful? No. Am I hopeful? Yes. However, I didn't see a lot of YouTube videos from your common person. Most of the videos out there are guys who do it a lot. They've got a lot of sponsors. They've got a lot of items that trial and error for them isn't as much as a trial and error for your blue collar guy like us, right? And some of you might not be blue collar and you do it differently, and that's great. But for me, I had to build myself up to what I have now. For example, we hunt in Kuiu. I did purchase that as a kit. That, in my opinion, is one of the most key survival things out there. Food, another key. Hydration, a lot of things, guys. But as I hunted out west, I kind of progressed and bought things that would make the hunt feel easier. It's the hardest vacation you're ever going to take, to be bluntly honest with you. To hike from the truck that's sitting at 6,000 feet to 12,000 feet in 6 and 7 miles. Yes, that's right. 6,000 feet starting point elevation, 12,000 feet ending point elevation, all within 6 to 7 miles. It's hard work. Has it paid off yet for me? No, but I'm still doing it. So I might be a little crazy in the head. However, let's get this started. Let's get the process, the explanation, and how I pack my pack for these types of hunts, so that you guys hopefully will gain some knowledge from this. Maybe you're already doing it yourself, see something different that you might like, or that you might be able to help me out with. Hey, do it this way, man, it's way easier. But typically my goal is to stay 64 pounds or less. Yes, that's all items. That's my bow attached to it, my sidearm, everything. 64 pounds or less. And you know what? I might just weigh it just for you guys. But let's get this started. Let's start going through the process of how I pack my pack. And this will be the preparation for a out west elk hunt in the mountains. And when I say in the mountains, we're roughing it, guys. That's a two-man tent. That right there is a two-man tent. That is what I stay in while we're out there. We're roughing it. Let's get this started. All right, guys, we're going to start with the clothes here. As I stated earlier, this is KUIU, is the brand that I purchased a few years back. The reason I chose KUIU is its price point. KUIU, whoop, I thought you could see it there. Turn this around so you can see their logo. The reason I chose KUIU is Sitka is really expensive, so the logo there is KUIU. Sitka is really expensive. I'm not saying it's not good gear. I just can't afford it. KUIU, this is the Teton kit. So it came with rain pants and jacket. I'm giving honest reviews here. I don't like the jacket. I do like the pants. We bought Frogg Togg Pros. We'll wear the KUIU pants and the Frogg Togg Pro top. But the way I like to do my clothes, they're bulky, they hold air. I like to make them smaller. So I utilize vacuum bags. I buy these at Walmart. They're nothing special, but I did find that the bag with the white, it's a magic bag. You can see it there. I don't prefer the large, but that's all they had. And in today's world with inventory levels, sometimes you just gotta take what you can get. So again, here's the one that I opened. It's 3 heavy-duty large flats. So you can see that's how they start, that's how they end. We'll have the same scenario here, but I want to talk about this layering system. So this is a base layer. These are the actual pants. And what I love, should I say, about the KUIU base layer pants is the fact that you undo this piece of Velcro. Hold on, it's hard to do with one hand. You undo this piece of Velcro and there's a zipper there. And that zipper runs all the way down to basically the bottom of your calf. So you do not have to take your boots off. All you got to do is take your pants down, unzip both sides. It has that on both sides. And you can take your base layer off without having to get completely undressed, kick your boots off, whatever. So if you start in the morning and it's 20 degrees and you've got your base layer on, and mid-morning it gets up to 50 degrees and you're getting a little hot, you pop them suckers off, you throw them in the pack. Love them. But let's talk about the other thing I like to do here. I like to keep my base layers together. There's shirts, long sleeve shirts, 2 of them, and 2 base layer pants. Okay? So obviously base layer, that goes on first. Then you have the KUIU pants, which I love. They are very stretchy, very pliable, very easy to hike in. Love them, love them. There are 2 pair of those. Then we come over to the shirts. We have a long sleeve, heavy. This is thick, okay, guys? Great layering. This is the jacket. So you can kind of see we're stepping up in thickness, we're stepping up in warmth. Then we go to the down jacket. This is a down jacket. Obviously, that is your optimum warmth. For me personally, guys, if I keep my core warm, my legs don't get too cold. Again, these are pants. So the way I like to start on a cold morning is with my base layer, my pants, and this thick shirt along with this jacket, and I leave this in my pack. That is worst case scenario, it's downright cold. And then we have gloves. Now, these gloves have seen their better days. This is what happens when you raise labs and you leave your gloves out. You end up losing a finger. So these are leather waterproof gloves. I really like them. They have decent grip when they get wet, but they don't have the greatest grip when they get wet. And then as things warm up, I've got the thin, stretchy gloves, Under Armour, just because, you know, that's what's readily available. I think I have some Redhead. Yep, got some Redhead in here as well. So that is the clothes system. Again, that's a layering system. Base layers, top layers, jackets, down coat, jacket, whatever you want to call it, and pants. And then we have the hats. Most of the time, I end up wearing this. But if it gets cold, downright cold, we do pull the sock cap out and we utilize it. So as you can see, I have 1 vacuum bag, 2 vacuum bags laid out. I try to get this in 2 different vacuum bags. And the reason I do that is my heavier stuff I don't typically take out of the vacuum pack unless it gets cold. However, since all they had was the large bags and they didn't have small and medium, I'm probably going to put all of the camo in 1 bag and all of the socks and underwear in another bag. Now, let's talk about the socks. These are Fitz socks. You can get them at Cabela's. Love them. They are merino wool. Your feet stay warm, they stay dry, and you don't get blisters. However, these are not for cold, downright cold days. Your feet will get cold. So I have a few different things here. This is considered a medium weight. This is considered a lightweight. And then this is considered heavyweight. Again, I rarely wear these. One time in Colorado, it got down to, I think it was 17 or 18 degrees, and I ended up wearing these one morning, and I regretted it. I wish I would have dealt with a little bit of chilly feet, but I didn't. So we ended up being really hot that day. I luckily planned ahead, had these in my pack, and right about lunchtime, it got up to about 60 degrees, and these were way too heavy. So I ended up kicking my boots off for lunch, taking these off, throwing them in the pack, and pulling these out. So I do recommend, if you have a really cold morning and you wear your heavyweight socks, I do recommend throwing your lightweight socks in your pack. That is definitely recommended by me. Now, let's talk about pairs of socks. Not in regards to thickness or anything, but quantity. I like to take spare socks. The truck, yes, it's 6 miles away, but if we have nothing but rain, the worst thing is wet feet. It causes a lot of problems. So I take a lot of socks. They won't all go in my pack because it's a waste of weight. But I will put my spare socks in that tote along with other spare items that I take just in case. So now let's go to the stuffing, the vacuum pack bag, whatever the heck you want to call it. Let's stuff that sucker with the camo. I'll show you guys how that works, and then I'll show you how I fold it and try to place the clothes so that I can at least fold it in half and get it in the bottom of that pack. Which brings me to another point. When you're putting all this stuff in your pack, you want to keep the lightest items on top and the heavier items towards the bottom. Now I put my game bags. What is a game bag, you might ask? This is a big bag basically, and yep, it's got some trash on it. But anyway, I put this in the very bottom of my pack. Yes, I know it's lightweight, but guess what, guys? I'm not going to use these until I'm successful. We'll put it that way. I may not be successful, so why put it in the top of my pack to have to remove it to get to all my other stuff? So there's actually a lower compartment, and when I stuff this pack, you guys will see all that, but there's a lower compartment that I put these in. Yeah, that's lightweight, it's not heavy, but guess what? It's the last thing I'm going to pull out of that pack, so it goes in the very bottom. So there's somewhat of a weight distribution, because you don't want all the weight on top, because then it pulls you over backwards, and you don't want all the weight in the bottom, because then it puts a lot of weight on your hips, but you do want your hips to bear the most of it and your shoulders to bear some of it. Let's get that going. All right, everybody. Don't know if you could see that on the time lapse there, but all the camo is in the one pack. But I don't know if you noticed, I kind of left a seam right here. The down jacket goes over it just a little bit. But the reason I left this seam kind of right here halfway in the bag is once this is drawn down, I will actually fold it over to be able to make a nice rectangle. It slides down in the base of that bag, and I'll show you guys that when I pack it. But I want to make a very key point here. When they say do not feel beyond this line, they mean it, guys. They absolutely mean it. I had one that I said, I can go all the way up to this zipper. Don't do it. I don't advise it, because I had that pack completely packed, and by the time we got out to Colorado a couple years ago, I couldn't figure out why my pack was so big. Well, the seal broke because I had closed too close to this, and it basically grew, is what happened. So don't go beyond the white line. Yes, that down jacket is a little bit close, but what I will do is I will take these sleeves, is all that is, and I will tuck them back. And now you can see when I zip this thing shut here, and I give it just a little bit of a shakedown, there are no clothes beyond that line. Now we have to go hijack the wife's vacuum cleaner, and it's not down here, so let's go suck this sucker down as tight as we can get it. Another thing I want to point out here, guys, you can see how both lines are blue, but on this one you have a blue line and a white line. If it looks white, it is not sealed, where this one is. Let me see if I can set the camera up here and show you guys what I'm talking about. Right here's a little zipper, if you will. When you run it from this side to the other, watch that bottom one, it'll turn blue. See the difference in color there? Blue, white. It is now sealed. You have to squeeze this thing pretty good to get it to seal properly. So we're going to seal them off. I did go ahead and pack bag 2 with socks and underwear. Taking 7 pairs of socks, a range of lightweight, midweight, and heavyweight. Less heavyweight than midweight and lightweight, but we've got them in there. All the camos in this pack. Let's get these suckers sucked down tight. All right, everybody, you remember how thick that was when it started. It basically has very little thickness to it now. Yes, they get pretty rigid. Yes, this bag is way too big. Yes, I'm wasting a little bit of weight because of the extra bag, but again, that's what was available. So basically, we'll take this one and we'll fold it over, and we'll make it the size that we need it to be able to get it into the bottom of our pack. And you guys remember me talking about that seam that I left in here in the clothes. What that allows me to do, I have to put the camera down to do this because it's really tight contents now, is basically take this vacuum bag. You got to put a little butt into it, but take that bag and we can fold it to where now it is half its length but twice its own thickness. And we'll be able to weasel that down into our bag because our bag stretches out really nice. And then that will go in the very bottom. The reason I put these in the bottom, yeah, I got to get my camping gear out and whatever, but I'm going to get that out anyway. I'm going to set my tent up. I'm going to get my cookware out. I'm going to organize my tent, and all of my camo will be right there in the bottom of my bag for the very next morning or even that day, depending on what time we arrive. So let's get the Weiss vacuum cleaner put up, and let's go down and start packing a pack. Alright guys, so as stated before, I take my game bags and I put those in the very bottom of my pack. And I talked earlier about a little compartment down here. There's a lot of compartments in this pack. But down here in the very bottom, there's this zipper area so you can access the bottom of your bag. If you compartmentalize it, there is a zipper that sections it off from the top side. But what I have found is that kind of keeps things from going all the way down in here. So what I like to do is kind of stand the bag up here, and this does have a frame in it for packing meat out. But I like to try to stand the bag up to the best of my abilities. Throw these game bags right down in here in the very bottom. Kind of work them in there a little bit so they stay flat. Nestle them together. You want to try to conserve space here. Yes, this is crude because I'm trying to hold a camera and put these in there, but you get the gist of it. Once I get that down in the very bottom, I know that they are tucked away in a safe place for future use if we do get lucky and are successful. We zip this compartment back up. And then basically, we won't mess with that compartment again. Everything else will be done from the top side of this bag. And like I stated, I like to put my clothes in first. Underwear and socks. Yes, that looks ginormous to fit in this bag, but believe it or not, this is the starting point of making the bag expand to its maximum capability. And yes, I am shoving that down in there hard. Oops. I said we don't access that, but we just did. But the reason why I'm pushing on it so hard is I want to make sure it is completely bottomed out. And then, once we feel like it is, we can check it right here. Yep. As far down as it's going to go. So now we want to zip this back up again. And yes, once you get all your stuff in here, for the amount of days we're going to be hunting, things get pretty snug. And you got to make sure your zippers are closed. Sometimes you got to run one a little further than the other. So now we are going to put all of our camo in the pack. Again, we'll shove it in the top, fit it down in there nicely. Let's get it in there. Sometimes this is difficult, guys, but once you get it going in the right direction, it'll usually go. And again, it all depends on your pack too. I think I actually started it a little unsquare. Phew. Might have to put this on the floor, get a little lower elevation there. Hopefully you guys can still see that I am acting like a crazy person trying to get these clothes in there. Well, that's not going so well, folks. These extra, I mean, you can see it. It's getting smaller. These extra large bags, I'm used to the medium bags, but it should still fit. I think it's going to fit. If it doesn't, we'll always think it should have. But I can tell you one thing, I'm working up a sweat trying to get it in here. There it goes. Now, once you get this tucked down in there, yeah, sometimes I get a little crazy with it, and I try to make sure we're as deep as we can get it. All right. Again, you can come down here and you can check through this little compartment. See, we got a little air pocket right there. That's what we don't want, because that takes up inches. We don't want inches that aren't available, because we're going to need it. Alright, we're getting in there pretty good now. I'll show you down in the pack there. You can see clothes alone take up about, oh, I don't know, a third, because this here will end up being expanded to as high as it'll go, which makes the bag taller. But there's the clothes. Now we gotta fit the rest of that. Let's get this organized. All right, everybody, the next thing to go in is food and cookware. Basically, the way I pack for this is I take 12 days worth of food, but I put 8 days worth of food in my pack. Not always do you go to one spot and stay there. So 8 days, I feel pretty confident I can either find elk or not find elk and move, or find elk, set up spike camp, and I'm good for 8 days. If I get to a point where I'm running low, I've got a tote full of the reserves for the remaining 4 days, in which I can go back to the truck and get, set spike camp on my GPS, hunt to the truck, get the reserves. Nothing's in my pack at that point in time except survival goods and what I need for the day, and then hunting back to spike camp with the remaining 4 days in hopes that either I've already gotten lucky and I'm just spending time in the mountains, or I haven't gotten lucky and I've got 4 more days worth of reserves to go hunt on. So, Mountain House freeze-dried foods. 17 grams of protein, no extra cleanup, ready in 10 minutes. The reason why it says ready in 10 minutes, you got to boil your water in your jet boil. Then you take that water and you pour it in here, and you take your spoon and you stir it up and you close it and you shake the heck out of it, which mixes up all the contents. You can see it there. Open package at tear notch, remove. Ooh, that's not very clear for you guys, is it? Hopefully you can read that. Wait 5 minutes. Stir again. Reseal. Let stand for 4 minutes because the water's piping hot. So anyway, I am a very picky eater. I know I like chicken and dumplings, I know I like biscuits and gravy, and I know I like spaghetti. So basically, that's the 3 types of food that I take with me, and I will mix match it. Sometimes I'll eat biscuits and gravy, sometimes I'll eat this, and I just kind of go back and forth. If the biscuits and gravy were really good and it sounded good that day, I might eat biscuits and gravy 2 days in a row. I then like trail mix. It's a sweet snack, it's not that bad for you, and yet again, it's got protein. Protein is key. So, that right there is 2, maybe 3 days. So I might have too much of this in my pack, but that's okay. So this is supper. I love oats. These are instant oats, strawberries and cream, peaches and cream, and I think there's blueberry in there. That's 8 days worth of oats. So this is my breakfast. Cliff bars for energy throughout the day. And then beef jerky for lunch. Again, guys, I'm a picky eater. There's only 2 flavors in here. There's teriyaki and original. But you can kind of get the gist of it. Oh, and you can't forget candy. Yes, we train for this. I just work my butt off every day, and that's how I train for it. I don't do any special fitness. I just go for it. And there's a lot of guys out there like that. And then there's a lot of guys who work out every single day. And you know what? You might beat me up the mountain. You might pack that animal out sooner than I will. But I'm still going out there. I'm still going to enjoy myself. And I'm here to tell you guys, when you're on the mountain for several days, these little miniature candy bars and a little bit of sugar sure goes a long way. Do I have more of that? Yes. There's another bag there, so that if I eat this in the first 8 days, I got 4 days worth of it to go. So we're going to take all of this and we're going to put it in that pack. Let's talk about the cookware. I have a Jetboil. I like this Jetboil. It has everything self-contained. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Inside this little rubber cap is a stand for your burner. Oh wait, stand for the bottom of your Jetboil. Sorry about that. The burner goes on there. This stand holds everything up off the ground. This allows you to filter things out if you want just the broth, if you will. That allows you to pour it out. I also keep a collapsible cup in here. So that is everything I need to boil water, make my oatmeal. I have a Sea to Summit, very, very light. Again, guys, this is all about lightweight. You heard me say that pack is not going to weigh more than 64 pounds with my bow and that sidearm and all this stuff in it. So you got to go lightweight, ultra lightweight if you can. But this is my spork. Man, I've used this thing for a lot more than just a spork when I'm in the mountains, but that's okay. I take one big gas can and 2 small ones. This one is half full. I may leave that one in the truck or keep it as a spare and buy 1 more of these to throw in the pack. But all of this goes into this Kelty bag. I do that just to keep my stuff together. We'll talk about the Kelty bag shortly, but let's get the food and the cookware in the bag. This time we are going to do YouTube magic. Voila. It's all in the pack. We still have room before we get up to our expanded side. Now, some of you guys out there who have been doing this probably longer than I have, you might ask, where's your hydration bladder? Well, it's right over there. I do not have water in my hydration bladder, which slides right down in here, until we get up on the mountain and we actually filter some water. So I will fold those up and I will stash them in one of these pockets. There's all the snacky stuff. Other than the candy, it went in the top. Beef jerky's flowing around a little funny. But I'll take those platypus hydration bladders and I'll actually tuck them right back here in this little slot that I still have. I'll also put my Sawyer filtration system. Let's talk about that for a minute. Sometimes when you're in the mountains, you got to drink some pretty nasty stuff. You have to have, you or one of your buddies, if more than one of you is going, has to have a filter system. Justin, the last time he went, he had to drink some pretty nasty stuff. So he and I both are going to take a filter system. And what this does is, I have a collapsible bucket. You can see it there with the live straw. We'll talk about the live straw here in a minute. Collapsible bucket, you go collect water. Sometimes that water is really gross. I mean nasty sometimes. There's not always fresh brooks. Sometimes it might be an elk wallow where you got to get your water. However, by using a filter system such as a Sawyer, I'm not promoted, or I'm not promoting, however you want to say it. I'm not sponsored, is how I should say it, by Sawyer. This is just the one, again, that was available. I've used one before. It worked really well. So basically you take your collapsible bucket, because you don't want to dip this thing down in there and get a whole bunch of junk in it. Take your collapsible bucket, you fill it up with the nasty water, you open up your spout, you pour your water in there, and you try to take your hand and scoop out the nastiness that's in the bucket and get nothing but dirty water in here. Hook your hose up, hook your filter up. Filter then goes into a hydration bladder, because that hose will screw right to one, or that filter will screw right to one, and it will filter clean water. That is a 1 liter hydration bladder. Actually, sorry, that's a 2 liter hydration platypus bladder, and this is 1 gallon. So you can put 1 gallon in here and fill up multiples of those with one time. You hang that in a tree, runs the hoses, runs the filter, fills up your platypus bag. Now you have clean drinking water. Now, I did state we're going to go over the life straw. This is a life straw. What this allows you to do is drink really crappy water, and it makes it clean. You put this big end down in the nasty water, and you lean over and you put this small end in your mouth, and it takes more suction than what a person thinks, but you suck that nasty water into this tube and it filters it and cleans it so you can drink clean water. I have actually had to use one of these. I thought it was just one of those things that you had in your pack and you never had to use it. Had to use it on my last trip to Colorado. The GPS told us that there were multiple brooks along our hike, and we were thinking that we could get by with just one 20-ounce bottle, because base camp was 6.5 miles up. 20-ounce bottle, we've done that hike before, no big deal. It was not where the GPS said it was. We ended up finding an underground spring that came out of the hill below us simply by hearing it, and if it wasn't for the life straws, we'd have turned around and went back to the truck. Lost an entire day's hike, an entire day's worth of work, but we didn't. We didn't lose it. We had our life straws, and it literally saved us. So that's the explanation on the life straws. Let's get the rest of this stuff in this pack. So one thing I wanted to note, you guys might ask, why platypus? These things, that's 2 liters. That was 2 liters of water. And you saw how small I was able to make that. What this allows me to do, and I already let the air out of it, it allows me to slide that sucker right down in that little side. And it basically disappears down in there. I can tuck it all the way down in the bottom, because I have the other one that actually has the hydration tube on it right there. And the hydration tube, for you all who have never done this before, you basically run this through the side of your pack, you bite on that, it opens up that hole, you suck on it, and you get it you drink. That is what that is for. We are going to get a few more items in this pack. That's not staying there. Anyway, we're gonna get some more stuff in this pack. I'm gonna put you guys on time lapse. Let's go. Alright guys, we are down to a few items. I'll explain these to you. These are rubber gloves, in case we get lucky. This is toilet paper, a little trick of the trade. Take the core out of it. It's less weight. Yes, that's toilet paper. No, there's no core. These are windicators, because these animals can smell you like nobody's business. So you have got to ensure you know which way the wind's going. Yes, this is only close by. Doesn't really tell you anything far away. However, it gets us some knowledge. This is face paint. You've got camouflage. You've got black. Floss. You will not believe how much you love floss when you're in the mountains. Gotta have toothpaste, toothbrush. This is a small hatchet. I don't know if I'm going to take it or not, but it is a multi-purposed hatchet. It's got a rope cutter on it. It's got a couple of sockets on it. Obviously, it has a hatchet blade down here on the end and some spare paracord. Paracord is your best friend, one of your best friends when you're in the mountains. We already talked about the life straw. I don't know if that's going to go in the pack or not. It's definitely going in there. Collapsible bucket, we talked about that already. This is a sleeping pad. A lot of people will go without a sleeping pad. I can't. You will not find a comfortable spot in the mountains. You will want some type of cushion underneath of you. So that's a sleeping pad. The way that works, I guess I can show you when I'm on the mountain, but You basically take it out of the pack, you blow it up just like you would an air mattress, but not with an electric motor. With this motor right here, you got to use good old air. This is a strike emergency kit, just in case you need to start a fire. And the lighters, the 3 of them, one of them's kind of special. This is a lighter, but this one's got tape on it. The reason it has tape on it is because if you cut yourself, if you need some tape to hold something together, if you got a blister, something crazy, you got some tape. And it's on nothing better than a fire starter. This is a headlamp. I only have one right now. My children have obviously played with my spare, so I've got to buy another one of these on the way out there. This is for the truck. It has ozonics in it so that we can turn it on, keep ourselves from stinking as bad. In here is a washcloth and a towel. Obviously, you all know, most of you know anyway, what frog togs are. Again, I'm only going to use the jacket of this, and I didn't put it in with the camouflage because if we get out there and it's raining, we're going to hike up whether it's raining or not. So this will go down in the bottom. There's an actual sack, if you will. It's a rain guard that goes over this entire pack, so that if it is raining, your pack stays dry. 200 foot of paracord. That's probably a little bit of overkill. However, that's what I bought. Yes, I will be taking this core out, so I have to unspool 200 feet of paracord. Scent-free soap. You might not take a whole lot of showers on the mountain, but when you do, you want something to lather up with. When you're on the mountain, toilet paper does not do you justice. It cleans you, but it don't clean you good enough. So we got the good old dude wipes, unscented dude wipes. I love these things. Sometimes I use the Scent-A-Way wipes, but I tell you, this makes a man feel a little better, because when you have been in the mountains for several days, you don't smell very good, and you don't want to feel bad in that area, if you know what I mean. So I recommend dude wipes. I'm not taking all of these. I'll probably take 4 packs just in case. Throw the extras in the extra container. Now, let's talk about a very key item. This is a tent. This is an ultralight tent from Big Agnes. Love it, love it, love it. It is a 2-man tent. Why 2-man tent, you ask? Well, I'm going to be sleeping in it by myself. Well, I'll tell you why. Whenever you're in the mountains, you get dressed in your tent. You don't spend a lot of time in your tent. However, a 2-man tent for a guy that's 6'1" is really tight. And I'm not a big guy, but the extra space is worth the small amount of weight that you do lose, because it is heavier, but it's not much heavier. I love the Big Agnes. Now, I will set this 2-person tent up, and again, you guys are going to see this on the mountainside, assuming I do as good of a job after I am completely wore out from getting to Spike Camp videoing as I am now. However, once I get this 2-man tent set up, I also have a Kelty tarp. Why, you ask, do you have a tarp? Well, when you set up a tent, this is a 9-footer, weighs 2 pounds, and basically, it's an awning. It's an awning for my tent. The reason I put up an awning for my tent, and this is also the reason why you need a lot of paracord. Idaho's grizzly country and wolf country. There's a lot of apex predators that aren't you anymore. So, paracord comes in handy because you got to pull your food up in a tree. You got to pull your game, if you get lucky, up in a tree away from camp. And the Kelty tarp, what it allows me to do is basically what you see right there in the picture. My tent will be right here. This will be over top of my tent, and that main line in between will give me a spot to hang my clothes. So my clothes can dry from the previous day while I'm wearing dry clothes, in which are my extras, and they can dry underneath this tarp because there's moisture in the mountains. It might rain. It also provides a little bit bigger area outside of the tent, again, which will be right here, in order for me to stay dry when I get out, because I'll keep my boots right here. Sometimes I keep my boots in the tent. However, these tarps come in really daggone handy. I'd recommend it if you go to the mountains and you're going to stay there a long time. Over here, we have our binoculars for glassing. We have our rangefinder to know how far the animal is. We have our Havalon Barracuda replaceable blade knife. Guys, I'm telling you, these things are lightweight and they are awesome. When I say replaceable blade, I mean it. That blade right there, yeah, it's a dirty knife. You're not supposed to ever clean a hunting knife because it's bad luck. But basically, you pop that up, slide it back, that blade is now thrown away, and these blades in the back are used so you can keep cleaning your animal. The only thing we have left is trekking poles. I typically don't use trekking poles except for the hike in, and if I'm coming out with an animal, it adds extra support, believe it or not, extra traction and extra stability. Now guys, what we got to do is we got to put all this in that bag also. It sure doesn't look like it's going to fit, does it? I assure you, it's going to fit. All right, everybody, a couple things I haven't mentioned. Obviously, should always take a first aid kit, and this is a bivy bag. We'll let you guys Google bivy bag. My personal opinion, it's a necessity. But the first aid kit goes on the very top of the bag because it weighs nothing. Goes up here in this cap. And then also, we take spare batteries for our light. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. You know what spare batteries are. However, you got to plan ahead. So this thing holds 4 AAA batteries. What I like to do is I'll have another one of these that will have 4 batteries in it because I really like these Black Diamond lights. They last a long time. They're bright if you want them to be. They're not bright if you don't need them to be. They have red and green colors both. I don't necessarily like the red. I can't see very well with it, but I can see really well with the green. So what I like to do, as you can see here, we got 1, 2 spare sets of batteries. Again, the other light will have a full set of batteries in it. So that basically gives us 2 lights full of batteries with 2 spares. Now, usually I take a GPS. For some reason, that GPS took a crap on me. I haven't decided if I'm going to buy another GPS or not, but we are going to get the remaining contents in this bag, which we've got to unspool the paracord, got to put our light in there, spare batteries in there, and all that stuff will tuck in this front side, and then we'll talk about the boots. I almost forgot 4 items. We have our calls. We've got some mouth calls down in here that we use for cow calling when they're close. Right there. Can't see them because it's dark. And we got the old Hoochie Mama. Now I'm not going to do this a whole lot because my wife will get very mad at me. We got our bugle tube. That'll go on the side of our pack. And now let's talk about the archery equipment. We shoot a Mathews Helium. Yeah, that's not a brand new bow. But guess what? We like it. Idaho does not allow you to use mechanical broadheads. Colorado does. What's a mechanical broadhead, you might ask? It enters into the animal, and if I cannot cut myself, because this one's been used on an animal, it opens up. Both sides open up. I'll show you. So it's closed at first, and both sides open up to make a bigger wound cavity. So these are not allowed in Idaho. So we had to do some research, and with our research, come on, don't cut yourself, Matt. With our research, We are going to shoot a 3-blade QAD Exodus. We have seen some good reviews. We talked to an individual in which I trust. So we've got to switch out our arrows before we go on this hunt to those. The other thing that Idaho does not allow is lighted nocks. So we have to put our regular nocks back into these arrows, because these nocks, when you release your string, it actually turns a really bright light on in there. I don't have anything in front of me right now to show you guys what that does, but basically this entire nock that is clear lights up bright green. If you want to do some research on that, look up lighted nocks. These are Nocturnals is the brand of this. However, we've got to remove them and put the good old standard nocks in there. My personal opinion, lighted nocks allow you to see where your arrow goes, and it allows you to retrieve your arrow much easier. I dislike the fact that Idaho has this rule. However, we're going to follow the rules. So we're going to get rid of these lighted nocks and we're going to go to standards. We're going to get the rest of this pack packed, and then we're going to go weigh it. Oh, we got to talk about the boots. Almost forgot about the boots. So I bought these at Cabela's. As you can see, it says Cabela's, but they are Cabela's Mendel's. You can see these boots have been used. I believe I've had these boots in the mountains. This will be the 4th trip. I use them also around here in Indiana. They still keep my feet warm. They still keep my feet gee whiz. Okay folks, it's 11 o'clock at night and I worked all day with DP, so bear with me here. But these boots keep my feet warm, keep my feet dry, and we're going to use them in the mountains again. I believe I've had these now for, I want to say, going on 6 years. So this is 6 years worth of hunting, and we do a lot of hunting, so they have been well used, well worth their money. They aren't cheap. They're about $450. But I'm here to tell you people, boots is where it's at. You've got to get a good pair of boots if you're going to go to the mountains. Don't skimp on your boots, whatever you do. And don't borrow a pair, because they are wore into someone else's feet and you're going to hate yourself. Your feet are going to hurt, and what's the hunt worth if your feet hurt? It's not worth anything, because all you do is have sore feet. It's not worth it. Let's get this pack the rest of the way packed. We've got one more item. I said 4. I just explained 3. We have a Kilty sleeping bag. Love it, love it, love it. The reason why I keep it on a hanger is because this has down in it. If you roll it up and compress it, the down compresses and it doesn't keep you as warm. I believe this is a 30-degree bag. Let's see if we can find it. I know it's here somewhere. Kelty marks their stuff up so well. Let's take it off the hanger here. We got to pack it in the pack anyway. Let's do it the right way. Oh my goodness, you guys are flying out everywhere. Alright, let's see if we can find what degree bag this really is. I know it's here. I've seen it. I've seen it. Where is it at? Oh my goodness. Let me find it. Told you I'd find it. 22 degrees, people. 22 degrees. You do not need a 0-degree bag. Why do you not need a 0-degree sleeping bag? Because you can wear clothes to bed. You don't have to pack a heavy pack. This is also a Featherlight, and I believe the model is right up here. It is a Duelist. What I like about this is it comes with the hood, which you can use as a pillow. Comes with the drawstring so that you can close it off if it gets cold, and obviously it has a zipper. Let's get this stuff in the pack. Just like that, folks. All we have left is one spool of paracord. Our bow straps to the outside of our pack. The cam goes down in this pocket. You strap your cam in place and the bow will sit right here. And there are some straps somewhere on this thing that come all the way around and it'll hold the bow to this for the hike in. We're going to unspool this. I got to find a spot for this collapsible bucket. I'm not used to having one of those. Might just lash it to the side of the bag or something. And then also, you would not believe how much you will appreciate Crocs in camp. So we will definitely lash these, probably put them in here so they'll be behind the bow, and use these straps that hold the cap on and everything to put our Crocs in the kit and caboodle for while we're at camp. I'm going to get this unspooled. As soon as I get it unspooled and in this pack, we're going to go weigh it. When I say weigh it, I weigh myself and then I weigh myself with the pack. I deduct the total weight from the previous weight, and that tells me how much my pack weighs. Stay tuned for that. Alright guys, it's the moment of truth. Let's see how much we weigh. I have the pack on already, so we're going to leave it on. What does it say? What does it say? 234.6. Alright, so now let's pop this pack off, weigh ourselves again. 234.6. Scratch that. We're 233.8 without the GoPro in our hand. 233.8. Now we're going to weigh ourselves without the pack. Alright, time to weigh without the pack. I turned it around so you guys could see a little better because the shadows were getting us. Remember, we're 233.8. Oh, it's that error. Come on. 180.8. Let's put the GoPro down. Step on it again. Oh, geez. Come on. I don't need to know how much weight I'm up. 180. So I weigh 180. We were 233.8. Let's do that math together. Basically, nowhere near it, right? Nowhere near it. 233.8, right? Minus 180. We are 53.8 pounds. Yes! Now, mind you, my bow's not on there. I have weighed my bow prior to this, and the bow weighs 5.2 pounds. So 0.2 gets us to 54. 54 plus 5 is 59. So we are under 64 pounds. I am tickled to death with that. The pack came out really nicely and proportionate. When I had it on my back, I do need to adjust the straps a little bit. But guys, that all comes down to your personal preference of how you like your pack to ride on your shoulders, how you like your pack to ride on your waist. Right now, I can't adjust it because I'm not wearing the clothes that I'm going to hike up that mountain in. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this helps any of you who plan on heading out west or going on any type of hike and hunt. I hope it helps you prepare yourself for how to pack, what to pack, when to pack. I'll tell you when I'm packing. I leave in 2 days. So, I prepared for all the stuff. I got to the point where I felt I was comfortable to pack a couple of days before. Here we are. It came out nice. Now again, I've done this before, so I wasn't too concerned that I wasn't going to be able to pack out correctly. So that's it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to turn those notifications on.